But football without fans is not. You play a football match without fans, it can be the greatest game in the world. If there are no people there to watch it, it becomes nothing.
And to Johnson. Johnson. And a corner Johnson. Larson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! Nakamura! He has done it! Isn't that just typical?
The game is over. The Rebels have won. Champions. That's who we are.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Jungle Gyms podcast. It's good to be back. And I have something positive to talk about. Welcome to the viewers. I hope your Saturday is going well. It's been a great start to the weekend. And we've got Paddy and McGinty in the house. How you guys doing?
Marvellous. Bloody marvellous. What a game that was,
Fucking good, man. Almost seven. Almost seven.
Imagine we got 7 this week.
We nearly equalled the Liverpool result.
Well, we did a couple. Last month we equalled the Liverpool result, did we know? Close to it again today.
Well, then some would say Liverpool equalled the results.
All that, aye. If you know your history and all that.
Aye. Funnily enough, whenever they were recounting the history, they failed to mention Oldhampton and the Sun. Celtic 7.
Yeah, weird that, isn't it?
But again, it is a new history. Let's not forget that, of course. We need to get our facts straight. Welcome to the viewers. Hope you are all doing well. So we've just witnessed Celtic beat Hibs 6-1. A thoroughly resounding win. Celtic were as good as Hibs were shite. But a lot of talking points. We've got Forrest, the man who was a forgotten figure at Parkhead up until just a couple of weeks ago. And now he's firmly back in contention. And he's proven his peers the way forward, the way to go. He got a hat-trick today. He also became a centenary man. Not many people can boast about that accolade. So that's definitely a talking point. Overall, feel-good feeling, sky high. A lot of good performances today. Paddy, what was your overall thoughts, your emotions for today?
Well, first of all, mate, I wanted to kick it back in with a good performance, and especially the win after kind of a bit of a spell of negativity. Some of the results haven't been the greatest, some of the performances haven't been the greatest, but today was a really good kind of springboard back to how we play and the system of exciting people, exciting the fans, and putting on a show. Of course, it started off with a wee kind of an emotional spot. Frank McGarvey obviously came out and had some words for everybody in the stadium before the game kicked off. Obviously, Frank's kind of been diagnosed with cancer and whatnot, so best of wishes to him. So it started off quite poignantly, and then the Celtic action begun again, and it started off very, very good, as we'll probably get into.
Of course. It was lovely seeing Frank McGarvey. So he came on before kick-off, and he was on the microphone, and he told the Celtic supporters that he loves us, which is very endearing to see. And I hope he is doing well, and his family, of course. McGinty, so going into the actual game, so Hibs are our opponents today. I know that we always expect domestic dominance, but it's worth always pointing out where the opposition is. So they were, I think, third in the league, above St Mirren, and below Sevco, about five points behind Sevco. So they weren't doing too badly, despite the fact that everybody thinks that Hibs are just a bit of a shite team and they've had some injuries, like people like Aidan McGeady. It would have been weird to see Aidan McGeady back at Parkhead, the second time back at Parkhead, but of course he was injured. So going into the game, of course, taking into account the kind of the European hangover, the kind of the feeling of a lost opportunity in the last game against Leipzig. What was your thoughts as a Celtic fan going into today? What was your expectations?
Definitely to get the win. Obviously playing at home and the league, you expect to win every single game. It's not being disrespectful. We are Celtic after all. We are the biggest club in the country. So I went into the game expecting the win. I didn't expect 6-1. I'll be honest, especially when I saw the midfield starting with Aaron Moy. I thought our tempo would have been a lot slower. I thought things would have been a bit more passed around the back sort of thing, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be in that sense. It was actually quite positive, and all credit where it's due. Aaron Moy had a really good game today, as did pretty much everybody in the team, especially that man, as you said at the start, Gavin, the guy who got 100 goals today. Well, not in one day, obviously, but James Forrest, he's came on a few games now off the bench. He's looked a little bit lively. He's added a little bit of something different on that right wing, where Haksabanovic has previously been at times, and Abada just haven't managed to kind of break that lock at times. But he's came on today, deserved his start, deserved all 3 goals. Some of them absolutely brilliant. Once the second goal goes in for us, that was it. You knew where the game was going. It was going to be a high-scoring game. And that's kind of what we always need at Celtic. We can get that first goal, but we need that second one fairly quickly afterwards. If we go 1-0 up in the first 15 minutes and don't see a second goal until the second half, it's a long day at times. But today, I felt we played good football. I think we more than deserved that win. And well done, James Forrest. Absolutely proud as punch.
100%, mate. And another thing, when you say, but you want to see a good performance, you want to be entertained. After 24 minutes, I'll go back to the lineup. I want to get Paddy's thoughts about this. After 24 minutes, we're already 3-0 up. A lot of people were thinking, me in particular, I was thinking the game's already won by that point. But it's a Saturday, you know what I mean? We've been working all week. It's game time. We want to be entertained, and we certainly were entertained right up until the 90th minute. Paddy, what you get your thoughts on this one? Postecoglou rung the changes. Now, it worked away to Ross County away earlier on in the season, where we won 3-1. However, we rung the changes in Paisley a couple of weeks ago, where we get beat 2-0 by St Mirren. At that point, Postecoglou took the flak. And the perspective of the context was our squad depth isn't as strong in quality as what we had hoped it was. But today, of course, we've rung the changes and it worked out well. A resounding win. So just to kind of remind the viewers, the key changes were the fullbacks. Ralston played in ahead of Juranovic. At left back, Bernabe played in ahead of Taylor. In the midfield, we'll know, of course, that McGregor's out, our captain. So Moy came in to fill the breach. And it was good to see that O'Reilly kept his role as the deep-lying playmaker. And it allowed Moy to actually go to the number 10, something that he might well prefer. He's quite creative whenever you give him time. So we got to see that. And, of course, up front, we've got Giakoumakis in ahead of Kyogo. And on the wings, we've got Haksabanovic, who's earned a lot of plaudits. Who's on the left wing and ahead of Jota, who's injured. And on the right, we have got who's on the right?
Hey, maybe the guy that scored his 100th goal today. Jesus.
Fuck's sake. Right, okay. I'll quit while I'm ahead. So, rung the changes. What do you make of the squad depth now? Does the narrative change once more?
No, I don't think it does, mate. I think the squad that we've got now is certainly more than capable of handling the domestic side of football. I think when it comes to the European campaign so far, we're possibly lacking maybe 1 or 2 players, maybe an experienced player, somebody that's played a lot in the Champions League, and for me, definitely that kind of player that brings a bit of steel and physicality into the centre of mid, especially in the tackle, kind of stuff like that. But absolutely, domestically, we have got a squad there that can obliterate every single team in this country, in this league. You said earlier on that Postecoglou took the stick for his rotational side, his team against St Mirren, which is fair enough. But when you take the stick, when it doesn't work, you also then take the plaudits when it does work. And today, it certainly did work. Now, I think, for me, Big Ange has probably fired a rocket up some people's arses, and especially the guys that's maybe not been getting a game or have been on the fringes and getting minutes here and there. They've been told, listen, everybody's expected of the same, and you guys are no different. This isn't like I've got a starting 11 and I've got a second string 11. Everybody here is part of that 11. These all play, but these all need to share the duties basically. And today was a great return back to domestic duty. As you said, the fullbacks, Obviously, Joe Hart, Jens, and Vickers, they guys speak for themselves. They're fantastic, especially Jens and Vickers at the back. Bernabei, I thought, was tremendous today. Very, very attack-minded, very composed on the ball. Always looked a threat, looked confident. And on the other side as well, a guy who has been accused, or people have had the opinion, myself included, is that Ralston isn't a very technically good player. He's got the heart, he's got the physicality, he's a badge thumper, do you know what I mean? He'll give everything for the team. But today, mate, I thought he was brilliant. Really, really good on the ball. Everything that he did was positive. It was meaningful. He drove forward. When he was running out wide and guys were pressing him, he was turning back inside and he was putting slick through passes back into the midfield, that kind of thing. His crossing, of course, speaks for itself because his crossing has always been good. So I had great performances for the fullback. Moving into the midfield, obviously Hatate and O'Reilly, as you said, they kept their kind of sitting midfield places. And that did allow Moy to move into the number 10. And by the way, Moy, I thought was excellent today. His distribution, his positivity, everything that was there. And by the way, a lot of the Australians have told us this when Moy was spoken about signing, that Moy plays the more advanced role for Australia. And when he gets a game there, you will see the best of Moy. And if that's what they're saying, and if that's proven on today's performance, then they're right. They are right, because it was a very, very good performance. Hacksaw, excellent again. The cross for James Forrest goal was very, very similar to the one that he put in for Kyogo, wasn't it? The header that he missed against Leipzig. Yeah. It was a great technique. It was like a kind of side foot cross, but he powers through it, and it does put that wee bit of swivel in it, so it was very, very good. James Forrest, obviously, literally, there's no explaining. The guy was brilliant today. And up front, Giakoumakis, a guy who I absolutely love, and he turned in another great performance. Absolutely fantastic. Delighted for Forrest, delighted for Giakoumakis, delighted for everybody there that turned up today and got to watch that masterclass.
Right, well, let's talk about the goals then. We'll get into that, and then we'll kind of reflect on the man, Forrest, who's been such a loyal servant for Celtic. What a cliche, but he certainly is. 9 minutes in then, so James Forrest, and as you said, Paddy Haksabanovic, he's going down the left channel, and then cuts in on his right, floats in that terrific ball, and James Forrest, unmarked at the far post, and he meets it with the side foot volley, and all he has to do is just guide it past the keeper. A beautiful goal. And then 18 minutes in, Bernabei down the left, and he flashes in a pass. It wasn't even a cross, he passed it, he just zipped it across the goal. And Giakoumakis, although Giakoumakis is running in line with their back four could do nothing to nullify Giakoumakis. He just gets in ahead, and it was a bread and butter finish. It was on a plate for him. And again, like, he's a man who...
Gav, see that goal? That goal reminded me, do you remember Gary Hooper's goal against Rangers at Celtic Park? The one that Izagiri ran all the way down the left-hand side, and he put in almost a similar cross, and Gary Hooper... I'm sure that was the one that fucking Davy Wheel. I was going to say David Cooper. David Wheel was running the other way. And I very, very similar. Brilliant.
It was a brilliant goal. And again, Giakoumakis, when he gets these starts, it's so important for a striker, for the confidence and to justify the manager's who gives a shit about Scottish football. Okay, so why are you here, mate?
I don't know. His wee Rangers badge says it all. Fuck off.
That's the thing. Rangers badge, who gives a shit about Scottish football? Oh, apparently they would as well. Anyway. And
the last goal of the first half, 24 minutes, and it's Forrest with the second. It was again kind of played in from our left flank. There was a bit of chaos in the box. I think it was O'Reilly who had a shot which was blocked, and it falls kindly for Forrest, and he shoots a fair bit of power behind it. And it looked like the keeper, it went down the keeper's throat, and it looked like he was saving it. He's got his two hands up, and then I turned away, and then I see everybody like screaming. So he fucking it went in over the line, and then he tries to fucking throw it out back into play, thinking it nobody's noticed. Like I was the only person who didn't notice. But Forrest, with the second goal of the game, 3-0 up, 24 minutes in, as I said, you're thinking almost the game's over, it's in the bag. But we powered on. Great start for Celtic, though. Do you think that's kind of what we need at Parkhead, though, to kind of, it's not that there's nerves, but people just demand early goals at Parkhead. Do you think that's a fair expectation of the fans?
I think we're getting used to it, and I think we, as I said earlier on, we play so much better when we get that second early goal. I don't know if it eases us. Is it easing the players? Is it easing the fans? Do the fans then feel easy and we get off the players' backs? Which I don't think we get on the backs too much, to be honest. But it seems to do something. Maybe it just kills off the game for the opponents, and they have to then come out because at 2-0 down. They have to chase something. They have to open up. They have to try and attack something themselves, or else they play damage limitation, which inevitably they end up having to do anyway. But I think when it sits 1-0 for so long, the opponents start getting belief and they start sitting in a bit deeper. They try and wait for that counter-attack, and they always seem to wait for that last 15, 10 minutes near the end of the game before they start going for it, which is where we always get a wee bit too nervy with it. But when you get 2 early goals, yeah, it seals it up for us. It allows us then just to continue to play our game, and it is so entertaining when we are.
A wee kind of funny thing that I noticed, see the Hibs manager, forget the guy's name, he was wearing, the jacket that he was wearing, this kind of like, suede, like a beige jacket. It reminded me of the jacket that Tommy Burns used to wear back in the 90s, but it looked like a more kind of fashionable upgrade. I don't know if it was just me going off at a tangent there, but
well, it was.
I'm
sure it was. What do you call him, Jerry McCulloch? I'm sure he actually mentioned exactly what I was thinking when the picture of him popped up on Celtic TV, and it was. He says he looks as if he's ready for the dancing. Never mind a fucking football game.
I think he fully expected the result, and he'd already made plans for the Saturday night. Probably on the time. Man.
His fucking plans are scuppered now,
aren't they? Right, Forrest makes the hat-trick, 58 minutes in, and it started off with a fresh air kick by the number 6 Hibs midfielder, and Moy was there to steal possession. He threaded a through ball past to Forrest, who converted past the keeper. And just before that, my mate had texted me, Woodsy actually texted me to say Forrest is on 99 goals. I'm not aware of how many people on the ground had cottoned onto that, but 100 goals, man. And he celebrated, he ran to the corner, he did a wee celebration with the band. He was chuffed, and like, as I said at the start of the podcast, he was a forgotten man a couple of weeks back. The way that he's came in, and we'll talk about this, I want to talk about the psychology of our wingers recently, how Maida and Abada had struggled to hit a barn door, whereas Forrest just came in with his experience or low expectations. Nobody thought that it was the Forrest of old, but he scored 3 goals a day. He's a centenary man. Paddy, what was your thoughts whenever you saw that third goal going?
Delighted, absolutely delighted. Now, I've at times in his career and watching him, I've not been his biggest fan, but then I can respect the times that he has stood up and played well. Today was one of the days, mate. It's his first start this season. He's bagged a hat-trick to take him over that 100, to take him to that 100 goal mark, you know, and as was said in programme, there's only 30 people who's ever done that for Celtic, you know, and there's Woodsy saying it as well on the side, 100 goals from a winger is brilliant. And I think I saw a stat that earlier on, this might not be true, but I'll take it to chin if it's no. There's only, he's on 100 goals and I think he's on 99 assists. So if he gets another assist, he'll obviously be on 100 goals and 100 assists. There's only ever been 2 players that's ever played for Celtic that have done that or bypassed that threshold, and it's Jinky Johnson and Henrik Larsson. So if that's true, then that's an incredible start. And you know,
it's an absolute.
I'm not a man for stats, but that's fucking superb.
No, I know you hate my XGs. No, it's a fantastic stat, and all credit where it's due. He he was slow to get all the fans on board over the years that he's been here. He kind of fell out of favour with quite a lot of fans, I think, in the last kind of year to 15 months. And as you said, Gavin, first start of the season so far, he's deserved 100 goals. He will deserve 100 assists if he can get it, which I think at this rate he will, because, again, as you just said, when you look at Abada and Maida, they're not able to cement that right wing place. They're not able to even, oust Jota. Right now, it's Jota and Haksabanovic trying to find where you can fit him in, because he looks electric when he's on his game. He certainly looks great in the middle and he looks fantastic on the left. So I think you're suddenly seeing Jota, Haksabanovic as your left wingers, and Forrest has suddenly come out of nowhere to now present himself as a possible right winger at the club again. And if you take that Abada is surely the kind of long-term, or at least the next couple of years, right winger that we want to develop into a high-profile player, then where does it leave a guy like Dyson Maida, who has not been on form this season at all, but credit where it's due for him as well. Well-deserved goal today, and I think that will do him wonders going forward.
Sticking on with Forrest, I know that we've got a couple more goals to cover off, but still, because we've got the subject up, so I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Tony Mowbray gave him his debut. I believe he actually scored on his debut at Parkhead, James Forrest. But I wanted to ask you, Paddy, who do you think has been the most influential coach or influential manager for Forrest at Parkhead? Would you say, I would say Brendan Rodgers. I think that Brendan Rodgers encouraged him to be more of a goal threat. And he cut inside much more. I would say Brendan Rodgers, although he's probably picked up, of course, from a lot of people that he's played under. Would you agree?
Yes, definitely on the pitch. Brendan Rodgers would have to be his biggest kind of backer, if you want, because I think that's when he played his best football all in, and he had a good period of playing as well. You know, he wasn't in and out of the team, he wasn't injured a lot. But I think as well, I think Neil Lennon played him a lot when he was like 18. But there was another one that rings in the back of my head. I think it might have been Dyler. I think
Dyler was the one who got him over his injuries. Dyler's the one who came in and says, look, you need to get over whatever this current injury is. He basically sidelined him for half a season, put him on a regimented plan along with Collins and whoever else was there. And that's what got him to the fitness level that when Rodgers came in, boom, off he went.
And do you know what it was? Right, I can't paraphrase it because I can't remember exactly what it was, but going through memory, I think he was having a lot of niggling problems. He was having muscular injuries. And when Ronnie Dyler came in and he brought in that kind of new wave, kind of shaman fucking kind of medicine kind of stuff. I can't remember the right word for it. But I think they identified that a lot of his injuries was coming from the way he was driving to and from training. So like, really, I think he must have been one of the wee fucking boy racers like that was sitting doing dead low. And apparently the way that he was sitting, they got him in and done all his tests and that. They looked at his spine and the way his kind of intramuscular body was working, all that kind of shit. And that's what they said, it was the way he was driving. So they changed his posture, changed the way he was sitting, blah, blah, blah. Started on a lot of stretching kind of stuff as well. And seems to be that's turned the tide since then.
Couldn't he stretch out that neck though, could they?
No, they could not. He looks like one of the cartoon characters that's been fucking him with a sledgehammer. It's just what they
No, absolutely fair play to him. And I don't know, Gavin, if you've seen the interview with him at the end of the game. Really humble about it as well. He knew he was coming up for 100. He mentioned that it was mentioned last season as well. But he's like, nah, I've not been looking forward to that sort of thing, as in I'm not anticipating it. I'm just going to savor the moment now that it's here. And he was quite humble about it. No mention of the assist though, but I believe I saw somebody else in the comments earlier say 99 as well, Paddy. So it's got to be there or thereabouts, if not 99. And surely he gets a few more games after the back of the last week or two, and he'll get that.
It seems I've been corrected. Apparently it was Neil Lennon. So I will I'll definitely take the word for it. Neil Lennon had given Forrest his debut all those years ago. And, he's been with the club for a long, long time now. Testimonial, Who knows? But
Well, he's 31, isn't he? And he got his debut when he was 18. So I'm sure
It would have
he's
been 2010,
past his
2011.
testimony.
We passed it, but have we played him for one though? Because last year we played that game for near Beaton and Tam Rogic. Sorry, not last season, during the pre-season. Kind of gave them their kind of swan song moment. And we've done one for Scott Brown just in the back of COVID, but I don't think we've done one specifically for James Forrest, which he's definitely due it now. Definitely. More than almost anybody else at the club right now. He's due that level of respect.
And he's got a 3-year contract as well, hasn't he? So he's probably going to be a one-club man.
Yeah.
I'd imagine so. I'd imagine.
McGinley, what you said, he's earned that respect. He really has. Whenever he first started as a young boy, and he had that controversy where he was wagging his willy in the wind. At that point, I was thinking, what type of guy have we got in our hands? But we've coached him on and off the park. You know, at Parkhead, you know, if you stay there long enough, and if you're wise enough to listen to your elders, then they'll make you into a good person as well as a good football player. And it seems that that's came to fruition. So happy days for him and his family. A very, very proud moment. To go back to the actual second half, though, Giakoumakis scored his second goal in the 73rd minute. By the way, did you notice that through ball by Ralston? It was a brilliant ball down the channel, and it played in. It was inside the defender, and it played in a Abada who came on as a sub. Abada lifted his head up, which you love to see from a winger, not just fucking head down, just fire it in. Lifted his head up and cut it back for Giakoumakis, who a moment earlier, Giakoumakis had went down with a wee suspected injury. He was hobbling about, but Giakoumakis got the ball from Abada and it converts off. It looks like it deflected off a player anyway, but it was goal bound anyway. So very much Giakoumakis' goal. He's got his second, big man, happy for him. And 89 minutes, Maida. So I think we were hoping that Maida's been a bit of the whipping guy recently, and he looked as if whenever he came on, his movements, his touches, and his passes were more direct, more deliberate. It looked as if Postecoglou had a word with him deliberately to get his confidence up by playing it simple, go for the jugular, and whenever you don't know what to do, then lift your head up, pass it to someone. I thought Maida looked more assertive today, and he got the ball. By the way, you were talking about how clever Moy is as a number 10. It was a very clever pass that played in Maida. Moy managed to lift it over the Hibs defence, and Maida ran in, slid in, and converted back into the far corner. So happy days. McGinty, talking about the psychology of our wingers, it's good to see Maida getting a goal. What do you think that'll do for his confidence and for the games ahead?
Hopefully it brings out a lot of them, confidence-wise. I think I said the other day, last week, whenever it was, he's not a winger. He's a striker. He needs to play through in the middle. And again, he gets that goal, not because he's done something on the wing to make the goal for himself, but because he's been in the middle position. He gets the goal again. It will give him confidence, I think. Maybe get a bit of the rustiness off him. But if we don't start playing him through the middle, I think he's likely to probably just fall back into, I've not got a goal for a few games. I'm going to kind of be a bit shot shy. I'm going to be making kind of iffy passes. You look earlier on in the game, he had that ball where he was coming down the left side. He went to pass it across the middle of the box, and it was too far behind one player and too far in front of the other player. There was no real accuracy to it. He just looks like a player who's just lacking self-belief and confidence, which many players go through at various stages in their career. Let's just hope that goal brings out the best in Maida. And with the abundance now of wingers that we've got to choose from, Jota when he's back fit, Haksabanovic who can play across the three, Forrest, Abada, who I get gets a lot of criticism just now, and he rightly needs to add things to his game, such as being able to beat a keeper and take it around a player. But he's a great talent nonetheless. So there's people there who can play those wide positions. I think it's maybe time for Maida to try and start forcing himself into that striker position, be that third option behind Kyogo and Giakoumakis.
And Paddy, talking about Haksabanovic, I think he looks a very, very impressive player. I think he still get his break his duck. for Celtic, but whether he's playing through the middle, which we've seen the past couple of games, or whether it's on the left channel, he looks a very impressive winger, low centre of gravity, and he can go left, he can go right, and he's got that thing that I like, arrogance. He's got that arrogance in his play, not like mentally or like dissent or whatever, but he just looks as if he's very cavalier in what he does. He knows he's got ability, and I think what was it, the Cossacks, they bought him for like 6 odd million, and we've got him for a snippet of that. So the guy looks to have a decent pedigree, and apparently in a recent interview he put out that he's really loving playing for Celtic right now. So what's your impressions, initial impressions of the guy so far, and what's your hopes for the future? Can he be
Definitely impressed. I like the fact that he is so direct, and we've got the added bonus. That he can go left, he can go right, he can go centre. He's got the arrogance, he's got the confidence, he's got the talent, and he's got the ability. What we saw so far, it's whether he can make a step up and claim one of the first team jerseys for himself. You know what I mean? Or is this going to be a factor that every single player in that forward line is kind of on a rotational basis? You know, are all these guys going to be happy with it? But I think with the emergence of Haksabanovic, the new has came at a welcome time, because doing the wings has been a bit an issue, and two issues that have been the biggest issues for me has been Maida on the left and fucking Abada on the right. Those two guys, albeit they have their qualities, for me they're no wingers, and I'm putting Abada into that as well. I really don't like him on right wing. He's fast, he's pacey, that's fine, but he's not got the ability yet as to be a proper kind of right winger. He's played his best football for me when he's been drifting kind of into the spaces. The same as Maida. I actually had a bit of a rant last night about Abada. So he's got a while to get back into my good graces. I think he kind of feigned that injury the other night. So fuck him. But apart from that, even the day he was pish. So I'll move swiftly on. I don't want to be too negative tonight about certain people. But no, listen, Maida getting a goal was absolutely terrific. He's had the criticism. We all know what his lack of qualities are. His lack of skill. His lack of eye for a cross, whatever you want to call it. But it was great in-game management the day for Ange Postecoglou to actually take him out the equation, bring Haksabanovic in, put Forrest on, which allowed you to have two direct wingers, which is something that we've missed. We've had guys who have been kind of dilly-dallying on the ball, you know, waiting, slowing the game down, waiting for the fullbacks to do the overlapping for them to cross the ball and that kind of thing. So it's of course it's good to have options, but I'm happy with the two that started today, and again delighted for Maida to get a wee goal as well, because that should take his confidence right up.
There was a comment that came up a couple of seconds ago, but got a lot of text to it. I never got a chance to read it. Any comments that we want to kind of bring up and break down, discuss, and reply?
There's one there.
The stick Maida's got has been very harsh in my opinion. The work he puts in midweek can't be overlooked by the disappointment in the final third. McGinty, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, nay. I get what he's saying. He does work hard. You can't take away from him. His energy rate is phenomenal. He's constantly showing for the ball. He's constantly making those runs. He's constantly trying to do something. But when you're a type of player that Maida is, James Forrest, Jota, Kyogo, Giamakis, Haksabanovic, Abada, unfortunately, you're judged on your final third antics, which is, can you cross the ball in? Can you score a goal? Or can you hold the ball up to create space for somebody to come in and score a goal? That's what you're judged on. The same way as the people in the final, the back third are judged on how they stop the ball coming in more often than not. Obviously, fullback slightly different there. So I get what you're saying. I get what the that some people will feel that the criticism is pretty harsh. But at the end of the day, if he's not producing the goods, somebody else is going to step up and take his place.
Yeah, you're right. And it's a bit of a conundrum that we've got. So, obviously, Paddy, you said that you were having a rant, howling at the moon again about Abada. So we've got Abada, we've got Maida. Two people who have deployed on the wings, but the general consensus is that they're forwards. And then, of course, today we play Forrest. We've got Haksabanovic, two people who are very, very attuned to what's required of being a winger, and they produce the goods. But Postecoglou does what to develop these players. He wants to develop Maida and develop Abada. Don't forget, of course, nobody's going to forget the amount of goals that Abada scored last season, and fucking Maida was the top scorer in the J League as well. So the guys are capable, but they're not instinctive wingers. A bit of a conundrum. One thing I want to say, Bernabe, how impressive was Bernabe today?
Again, another fantastic cross in. He's building into this team. He had a shaky start. He also had his incidents of apparent drink driving, which is a big no-no, obviously, but he's building himself into this team. He's absolutely got a wicked cross on him. Very direct, very accurate, and very powerful cross that everybody's going to love getting on the end of. Exactly, again, like Haksabanovic in life, exactly what we need.
I appreciate the British Transport Police for getting there.
He's been injured, does he know?
Harking back to Bernabe's transgressions. But what are you talking about? You're laughing at the comments or McGinty?
No, like who's it? Ewan Boy Martin. He's pushed it. He's not in Benidorm. Watch the Jungle Gyms on Saturday night.
On your holiday, you're still watching us, three idiots.
Fucking legend. Champion.
I hope you watch the game in an Irish bar. By the way, I need to get myself abroad. I've not been abroad in ages.
If Ewan wants to start passing the Jungle Gyms podcast kind of social medias out there and get all the Spaniards involved, crack on.
Oh, by the way, whilst we're on that note, we've checked the subs, right? As we guys have spoken about before, we're not really big on pushing subs and fucking get views and all that. We come on here, do what we're doing, have a laugh, and we speak with you guys, get you guys to get involved in that. But we're nearly at 1,000 subs, so I think we're about 40 odd off it. So if you
957 now, Paddy. 957.
Nice one.
Getting there.
So if you haven't done it, jump on, give a wee click, the like, the subscribe, or share. The shares are good as well. So aye, get it done now. Please.
We're talking about the actual podcast as well. To the viewers, what would you like us to do during the World Cup? We're going to have obviously a bit of downtime for the Scottish game. I'm sure at some point we'll be in Australia. We'll definitely cover that, the Australian games. Well, I mean, Celtic playing in Australia for, I think it's, don't know how many games, is it just 2? But what do you reckon for the World Cup? Do you want us to like talking about the international games?
I reckon surely we're still going to be doing our Tuesday TikToks, and we'll do roundups of the games in the World Cup. It'll take a bit of our attention, but I'm all up for some input from the viewers if they want to give us, as a team that we should be following. Are we all going to maybe root on for ABE or somebody?
Who? Abe Lincoln?
Anyone but England?
Yeah,
there we go.
And by the way, if anybody's watching and you ever fancy a crack at it, let us know. You can come on. It's for use.
Right. Careful what you wish for.
Yeah, Paddy just putting that out there.
To be fair, it's not the worst thing I've put out there. So
we hear. James Forrest, guys.
5 points clear now. Obviously, Sevco play tomorrow. I don't even know who they are playing tomorrow. And remind me, who's Celtic's next game? I'm terrible for a fucking podcaster. I should know this.
We know Motherwell midweek for the Cup game.
It's the Premier Sports Cup game. It's Motherwell on Wednesday, and it's 6:15 kickoff, I believe.
Yeah, it's an early one. Well, kind of early. It's a weird time.
I hate paying for all these different subscriptions, man. Premier Sports, BT, Sky, Amazon
Well,
occasionally.
well, Gavin, there's a way around that.
Aye,
Don't
use your
anybody
pal
pipe
Sky
up
Go.
Sky.
By the way, one thing I found interesting, see the championship, the English championship, they are not renewing, what I've heard is that they're not renewing their Sky deal. What they're going to do is they're going to market their own television rights. So they're going to hold the keys to their own broadcast rights, and they're not going to sell it to the highest bidder. They're going to broadcast it themselves. And
a la Liga TV style, where you get like a league TV channel, but then I think that the clubs themselves are allowed to market out with, if they want themselves. So like Barca TV and stuff, they can market that out to the Americans and so forth. I
believe that's the case. I think there's parallels to it. I mean, it's just interesting because we're talking about, or people talk about the Scottish game and how it's so poorly marketed and how they're happy to eat the scraps from Sky's table. And it's just an innovative way to try to boost the revenue. Great platform, Chris, Paddy, Gav, and McGinty. Thank you very much. You're very kind. Aye.
The man, Andy the Baldy Trucker, correct, pal. Fuck Sky.
One question I'll ask then. So, Forrest, the centenary man, who do you think is the next likely candidate to emulate that achievement? Do we have anyone on our books right now who's a likely candidate? Or do you think we'll just have to wait and see what the future throws up?
Top of my head, think it's far too early to call that. I don't believe any of the long-term players are anywhere near or got the ability / position to be able to get to that number. You look at Callum McGregor, surely he's probably up there with the goals outside of the strikers who are just new. I mean, for somebody who's kind of going to collectively add them on, you'd have to look at Kyogo, Abada, Giamakis staying for 3 or 4 years before even realistically they get to that number, surely, at 25, 30 goals a season. I don't think there's anybody in the team just now.
I would say Giacomakis, because he's at a good age still. He's not as old as Kyogo, and I think he could make Parkhead a home as long as we continue to play him. Paddy, would you think?
Probably. Giacomakis for me, mate. If Giacomakis is played as a central striker, a centre forward, whatever you want to call it, leave him in the box or there or thereabouts, get service into him and let him score goals. He'll get you 20 goals a season, every season, as far as I'm concerned. But the only issue with that is the rotation. Plus, as well, when he plays, he's asked to play in the same kind of role as Kyogo. So he does a lot of his work outside the box now. Which to me, it's to his detriment in terms of his goal scoring, but he's still putting a lot into the team, you know. But in terms of Giacomakis getting 20 plus goals a season, that's not going to happen if that continues. I think.
I don't know. Me personally, I don't. When I watch Giacomakis, I don't normally find him far out in the left wing or far out in the right wing. I think he's normally like he's chasing people down. But like when we're in possession, he's normally somewhere in the central positions waiting for that ball. That's what I think. But I think like the centenary players for Celtic, like not who, I mean people who's got 100 goals. It'd be quite interesting to find out how many of them were foreign and how many of them were, you know, Scottish youth products, that sort of thing. Because there could be an argument that most candidates who score 100 goals or more are normally people who are happy and content to be a homebody, to stay at Parkhead, to stay in Scotland. Whereas with foreign players, they're more prone to stay for a few years and then go. An interesting one. Another thing, we always get excited about youth players, but we've not seen it. When was the last time we saw a striker come through the academy and go on to play for a sustained period of games for Celtic, you know? Just a thought.
When was the first time? The last time? Even probably Tony Watt. Even though he was brought in for Airdrie, but he still came into the academy. But how many games did they play? He had like 10, 11, 12, 13 games or something, maybe.
possibly.
No many starts anyway.
And then like going back in years, you had people like Caleb Beaton. He's actually a no bad finisher, but it wasn't good enough. People like Mark Buckle.
Simon Lynch, Maloney. Maloney obviously came in as a striker.
Maloney. 3 times he signed for us. Well, twice he signed for us. Once he came through the ranks.
No, because he went.
Still reckon he'll be a manager at Celtic at some point in the future. A lot to learn. Still got a lot to learn, but I reckon he's one for the future, managerial wise.
Any further comments you guys want to bring up? Any other rants that you want to go on?
There's one on the side who would say I was on the jungle when Voldemort Johnson first played against us for the Huns or the Fury. By the way, R.I.P. Robbie Coltrane, obviously Scottish comedian actor guy. He died last night. I think he was 72. What a character that was. I was looking at some of the YouTube videos at fucking 4 o'clock or something this morning, up early as always, and I was watching the Mason Boyne ones. You know, the one who's literally ripping the piss out of the guy for Edinburgh that's in the Orange Order. Absolutely brilliant, superb.
You'll need to send me that one. Robbie Coltrane actually, McGinty, he grew up in Illinois, it was Rutherglen.
Rutherglen, yeah.
What was it?
He was born there. He didn't go to school there. Aye. And we've got that clip of him and Cracker playing, acting alongside Robert Carlyle. And I think I read that episode was actually one of the first British dramas, to deal with the Hillsborough disaster. And I've not seen the episode, I've just seen that particular scene between Robert Carlyle and Coltrane. Robert Carlyle was going LIVERPOOL Liverpool FC, and Coltrane is just going Celtic.
I think I read a wee bit somewhere, Gav, because obviously that's done the rounds before, and obviously it was passed about again last night. With obviously tying it with the guy dying. But I think, if I'm right, I read before that was unscripted for Robbie Coltrane, and it was obviously Robert Carlyle, the fucking wee Rangers bastard he is, his part, and it was to be the Liverpool supporter. He was to be antagonising the police in the holding cell, and he's taking, as you say, LIVERPOOL, and Robbie Coltrane's stunning, acting the part, and just bursts it out and he goes Celtic, and he's winding up Robert Carlyle, so he started going louder, and he's just going Celtic. And you can see Robert Carlyle starting to laugh at it, you know. But brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But if you go to YouTube, right, and type in Mason Boyne, right, it's absolutely brilliant. Satire at its best. It was part of the. I don't know if you guys will remember this, but it was what was it called? No, the Naked Gun. It was like a sketch show that was on in Scotland, and you had the guy for Rabsy Nisbet, and he'd done the Baldy Man. Do you remember that? Naked Video. It was part of that. Brilliant.
Back to Celtic. One player who I want to mention is O'Reilly. It's not particularly about today, but just so far his short stint as the deep lying playmaker. Love that phrase. It's much more sexy than the holding midfielder. McGinty, what I like about O'Reilly is, although he's not fast and he can't cover a lot of ground in a quick space of time, what I like about him is he doesn't deliberate with the ball. He can hit a pass first time. He doesn't procrastinate with possession, and I think that's one good thing about playing in that position, where he doesn't get caught out too often by the opposition whenever they're trying to kind of smother him. Whenever he's looking about left and right, and he knows what he's going to do whenever he gets the ball. I really like that about him. So what's your initial impressions of him so far, playing in that number 6 role?
I like him. Overall, as a player, I really like him. When he first came here, we all kind of presumed he was going to be more the number 10, more the Tam Rogic kind of next version of Tam Rogic. And I think he's got a lot of similarities to Tam Rogic. He's very, very quick in the football brain, but not a very quick player. Technically, he's extremely gifted. his footwork's probably not as silky as Tam Roderick. He's maybe not quite as weirdly agile, which is a weird thing to say about Tam Roderick being agile, but Tam Roderick had that kind of Paddy McCourt-esque thing where he could just drive the ball forward into that final third and make space out of nothing sort of thing, that moment of magic. O'Reilly doesn't have that, but what he does have instead of that is this quick thinking and ability to be able to turn his player to hold the ball a little bit better than Tam Roderick. I think that suits him to play that kind of number 6 role. It allows him then not to replace McGregor, but it allows him to fill in at times and play a slightly different role, play more in the central midfield rather than Tam Roderick, who just never could play that position. He was always the number 10. So overall, I like him. He's more rounded, but I think he still needs to find his real place in the team, his maturity, and kind of establish his position. Because we all know what Callum McGregor's position is. We all knew what Scott Brown's position was. I think we need to see what O'Reilly can bring and what he can actually make his position.
Definitely a player who's impressed. And he's I think out of everybody in our squad, he's the one player who the rumours are that a lot of scouts are watching him from England. The Predators are.
Going to be. He's likely one of the first ones that we sell for big bucks. There's probably one or two players. I fear for guys like Dyson Maida, who probably will, if he doesn't get this form back, if he doesn't get his playing, he'll probably be one of the first ones that does leave Celtic soon. But not because he's created a big transfer move, but probably because he ends up going back home to Japan or something. But O'Reilly, I think if you're looking at all the players that we're trying to develop and make into superstars and sell for that kind of 15, 20, 25 million, I think O'Reilly's probably going to be the first one to go. He was always looked upon by the English teams before he even signed for us, breaking into the Danish team and whatnot. Especially if he goes to the World Cup, actually. He'll be one of the first ones to go. And I don't blame him. I'm fine with that. It'll be great to keep him for 2 more years, but I just don't see it.
Certainly a player who's got a bright future ahead of him. And we hope that we can get another few more years out of him. Paddy, I wanted to ask you this, and I guess open this question up to the audience, the viewers. Fucking hell, man. Don't want to get caught. Was it another?
No, I'm just laughing at you, mate. Sorry.
Thanks. You're more than welcome for that. Don't want to get bogged down too much with the European campaign, because don't want to get negative. But in terms of us improving as a team and Postecoglou remaining with us and looking to the future, and the question is, in terms of refining the squad, looking at our performances as players, their capabilities, their limitations. If we're to get better in the Champions League and make inroads next season, which out of the players that we've got in our squad right now, any names off the top of your head, you would say, yeah, he's a stick-on to remain with us because he's got much more potential to explore. You wouldn't want to get rid of him. Whereas with other players, as much as you might be able to coach them, they might not really turn into better players. So out of the players we've got right now, who do you think are the ones you would love to keep?
Honest question, mate. All of them. Every one of them. I think that this team that's obviously playing in the Champions League this season, they're going to have to learn it. You know what I mean? This is obviously Angie's first time playing in the Champions League at this level. This is everybody bar McGregor, Joe Hart, and I think I don't even think Jackie Mack is Forrest. So really there's only 3 or 4 players in this team who have played at the Champions League level. You know, even guys like Jens, Vickers, blah, blah, blah. This is all their debutants at the top fucking elite level. They've performed well. They should get better. The guys that have performed under par really need to take that as a learning curve. And that should, in essence, allow them to be bigger, better, and stronger for next season. Obviously, you're going to have to make additions here, there, and everywhere. Sorry, I'm talking shit here. You're going to have to make a couple of additions just to add to that squad. Possibly if you're losing a couple of guys. But I think I would love to keep every single one of them, because I think by the time that next season comes, they should technically, on paper, be better players.
Okay, so back to the question. In terms of like trimming the fat off our squad, I'm not talking about people like McCarthy, talking about people who get game time, but you notice the limitations. I'm not trying to kind of pigeonhole you into agreeing with me or telling me that what I want to hear. But there's certain players who they're upgradable. That's maybe the phrase that I'm looking for. Who's upgradable? Although they're good domestically and they're okay in Europe, but we can do better. McGinty, is there anybody that you think?
Yeah, I've been holding on to this comment that Paddy made earlier on at the start of the podcast, and I like what he was saying about how we don't want to have two obvious 11s. We want a starting 11 that the rest of the squad is actually capable of being part of that starting 11. We don't want a starting 11 and a backup 11. We want 18 or 22 players all capable of filling in for each other and making. Nobody has a place as the first name of the team sheet because so many other players want to be in there and so many other players can be in there. And I think this might answer what you're trying to ask, Gavin, is I look at the two centre-backs who aren't Carter Vickers and Starfelt, i.e. Jens and Welsh, and I look at the midfield in the same vein. So you've got Hatate, McGregor and O'Reilly. That's your starting three. I think if you look at Moy and then you look at Turnbull and potentially now Haksabanovic can play in that kind of number 10 in front of that, the three-man midfield. Oh, sorry, in the front of the three-man midfield. I think you look at those backup guys are the ones who could be replaceable because are they capable of actually coming in when we need them to come in and take the not take the first starting place sort of thing, but take the position as their own without us feeling like we're weaker or feeling like we're covering for somebody. Too many times, I think, in this European campaign, especially with the back pair, we've seen ourselves weaker there. Players have had to help cover out. We've looked shaky at the back at times. But as soon as you bring Carter Vickers back in, we looked a whole lot better. We need that depth that's just a little bit better. I don't want to replace any of them. I think all of them have a great future at the club if they all want to be here. I think it's one of the very few times in my life that you can look at a Celtic squad and actually think there's really not any deadwood. McCarthy aside, as a personal opinion, he can still come on and offer something. He can still be valuable around that squad, be it his own experience and kind of level-headed maturity or whatnot, or an actual ability to. I think he came on the other day actually played not too bad. Anyway, there's nobody really in that squad, and I think it's what Paddy was saying as well. None of them. You wouldn't get rid of any of them. You would keep them all. And so one of the very few times I feel like you would say that about a Celtic squad. But what we do unfortunately need is to upgrade some of the fringe players so that they are equally capable as being first team players as much as the actual first team players are. If that makes sense.
I think I kind of quote your question wrong in my head a wee bit, Gav. But I get what you were saying there when you started talking about upgrading. So you look at maybe Stephen Welsh, right? You could certainly upgrade on Stephen Welsh, and that ties in with what you said as well, McGinty, about that if you take Vickers and Jens out. And by the way, Jens is only on loan. You know what I mean? So we might not even sign him.
Forgetting that. Yeah.
That leaves you with Starfelt, who is good enough to be a first team player, but I prefer the pair that's in the now. But if you play Stephen Welsh, then that throws it all out. He's not good enough at this level. It could be, I don't know, but right now he isn't. Centre mid, I think we could upgrade on centre mid as well. Not necessarily on a player, but in the position. We could certainly bring in another top class player. Possibly an experienced. I think I would like to go with an experienced player in midfield. Because we have got a lot of young guys out wide and front. So maybe another kind of cooler head, somebody that's been there and done it before.
James Forrest proves that point today. An experienced head can come in and do wonders. He can just ease the pressure off the team if you just put the experienced head. I think that's maybe what we expect from Moy and McCarthy in the central midfield.
But Forrest did it when he came on against Leipzig as well.
Yeah,
straight away. It was far more direct, and I was actually surprised to see that he was taking on the fullback, who is clearly Leipzig were an excellent team, excellent outfit, and the players individually were very good. And Forrest was having a go at him. I think he only had one bad cross that I can remember, but other than that, he did actually perform really, really well, and he's carried that form onto the day. So you're 100% right, mate.
One thing I was noticing about Forrest in the last today and the last game against Leipzig was even for his kind of purported lack of pace recently, he doesn't have to knock it past a player in order to get the final ball in. All he has to do, and what I was watching do, is he was standing up with the fullbacks and then just dropping the shoulder, creating that 1 yard, that wee window, in order to cross it in. How many hat-tricks has Forrest scored? Interesting question. Let us know if you know the answer. Let us know. So Forrest, it's a great bonus, and it's endearing to see. They've written him off. Some people had written him off. I had written him off, and I was wondering why they'd offered him a contract renewal. But he's came in out the cold, and he's proved me wrong, proved other people wrong. And in the bargain, he's had a proud moment today, getting 100 goals, get a hat-trick today. So fantastic and get man of the match. So it's good, but he's not a passenger in the squad that he can be relied upon. And hopefully he just continues to remain sharp and available whenever called upon. And another person who I'm happy with, we touched on it earlier, Bernabei. I'm happy with the fact that even though he's been watching from the sidelines, he's not been just he's been paying attention. He's obviously been watching the standard that he needs to go up to actually try and get a few minutes on the pitch. He's looking at what Greg Taylor's been doing. No frills for Greg Taylor, but he's solid. He's a team player. And, he's just a reliable, dependent left back. And Bernabei has been watching for the sidelines. He's obviously bought into everything that Postecoglou has been asking for him. And he's delivered. So I'm happy with that competition.
Well, seeing you're talking about Greg Taylor, I can't remember if it was on here or on Bells. I mentioned it. Did you see the actual the huddle against Leipzig? Obviously Carter Vickers was the appointed captain, but see in the huddle pre-game, Greg Taylor was the guy that was dishing out the instructions, and it certainly seemed as if it's that way because you could see him. He was the man that was shouting, which ties in with everything that Postecoglou is saying about the experience. He's obviously brought in Joe Hart for his experience. Guys like Greg Taylor, he said that he's one of the biggest leaders in the dressing room.
Mm-hmm.
He said it with McCarthy as well, and he said it with James Forrest. And obviously, James Forrest has got himself a 3-year deal. I think was it last season or this season? Last season. Last season he got a 3-year deal. So right away, even though guys like McCarthy and Forrest aren't playing, they're still there or thereabouts, and they're still working behind the scenes, and they're still ready and able for selection when called upon. And McCarthy came on today as well, which again was good in-game management for Postecoglou, because when we started to go 3-0 up, 4-0 up, he brought on Abelgard and then McCarthy, and he brought guys off, gave them the rest, and he then showed it up defensively with the two guys in midfield who are actually able to go and stick a foot in. Abelgard was like a big battering ram. I know obviously it was like a cameo appearance, but he was getting fucking tore in. McCarthy as well. He was getting in about it and all, which I love to see for a centre midfield, because it's all well and good having creative midfielders, flair midfielders, guys that are good technique on the ball, but you still need to balance that with a guy who's going to do the dirty work. Because football can be the most beautiful game and it can be the most ugliest game. So we need to find the perfect balance for that, you know what I mean, to be successful. And you need to have a strong spine. We've got it right now with Vickers. Vickers is fucking brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He's like a fridge. It's like a fridge that can run about. Giacomakis is like a bull up front, which I love to see. We're just missing that in the centre mid when you're talking about like the kind of general midfielders that have been playing so far, which is like McGregor, O'Reilly, Hatate, and fucking Turnbull.
Mm-hmm. And Turnbull, as we know, has been caught up with another wee niggling injury, unfortunately. Some people seem to be pleased with that. Paddy, you're spot on. Taylor was given the team talk. I actually made a point. Do you remember on the pod last season? I actually made the point that Greg Taylor was demonstrating potential captaincy characteristics. And some wee jobby in the comments was laughing at me for saying that. But there you go. He might not be our captain because Calmac is always going to have that. But by the way, it's good to have leaders in the team. That cannot be overstated, the importance of that. And we've got a comment from Ryan Kelly. No harm in getting another centre-back at any time. That's a position I would consider us upgrading to, along with another goal scorer up front. Plenty of centre-mids in that team, so I would persevere before buying another one there. Funnily enough, I was actually in the queue for the tickets at Parkhead just before the Real Madrid game. And the guy who I was standing next to was a cousin of Stephen Welsh. And I was talking to him. And one of the questions I asked him was, because you're talking about centre-backs there and buying on another one, upgrading on Welsh. I asked him the question, would he fancy his chances abroad? And he said he would love it. Just he's not given that opportunity. So he's been kind of stifled with that move abroad, but at the same time, he's getting his opportunities whenever people are not playing, but it seems that he's doomed to be our fourth choice centre-back. And he also made the comment, Welsh's cousin, said that people are just always prone to slag off and to be more critical of a homegrown player rather than an external signing. McGinty, would you agree with that sentiment?
I think we can be. I think when you've got players who you're watching breaking through the kind of youth team and into the whatever form of a reserves team that we've had in the past, and then they make that debut, I think we all then start to expect to see a lot more of them. Whereas when you bring in an 18 or 19-year-old foreign player, such as, for an example, Maida, they're already kind of ready-made first-team players as such. They've been signed because they've shown so much already for such a young age. Whereas when we're giving debuts to 18, 19-year-olds, I think we're just seeing the age and we're just seeing a new player and we're thinking, right, let's see him play 20-yard games this season. Let's see him do well next year and whatnot. But they need that time to build into the team, which is one of the shame things about Stephen Welsh. It took him actually until he was 20 before he made his debut. So he's, for me personally, he's well behind his development by a couple of years. And he needs to go out on loan in that sense. But as far as homegrown players and how we criticise them, I think we can be harsh. I think it's just because we expect so much, and we're not impatient. We are impatient actually, but we're not terribly impatient. But we just want to see them more often. We want to see them play more often. We want to see them be ready more often and quicker. And it just takes a bit more time than we're used to or what we want it to be.
Good question for Ryan Kelly here. So I've asked this in other pods. Who would be your permanent vice captains on the Celtic team? Well, I was talking about Greg Taylor there. He's a vice captain in my eyes. But you've got other people who can step into that breach as well. So Paddy, who would be your second choice under Callum McGregor?
Well, I'm going to have to say Vickers because he's the man that's wearing the armband now, and obviously for a reason. Callum McGregor's obviously the captain, so that I'm assuming that we don't have a designated vice captain, and it will just kind of trickle down. So Vickers, then it's between Greg Taylor, Joe Hart, Ralston even.
Yeah, I think you're looking at those names there. I don't think anybody in the front line has got that quality to control and lead the team in that same way as like a midfield or a central position player. I don't think you can really add many more names there.
I think a lot of people don't like the prospect of a goalkeeper being a vice captain. Certainly Hart has got the credentials to be a vice captain. But I guess the overall point, having leaders in your squad, you don't need an armband to be vocal and to encourage your teammates and take responsibility. You like to see that all over the pitch. And by the way, one other guy, and without digressing too much, he would never be a captain in my eyes, but one guy who's, in my opinion, shown more responsibility, taking the ball, demanding the ball, going back for it, and then linking up with the forward play is Rio Hatate. He's the player who have a big season, and I've seen him take much more responsibility, even in the Leipzig game. Although he gave the ball away a lot of times, he kept going back for more and more, and he's the type of guy who's happy to take the ball whenever he's got someone marking him, because he's got the confidence in his own technical ability is spinning a sixpence and make that yard to find a player or to take a man on. So that's another player who I'm happy. He might not be vocal with his leadership, but he shows leadership by his footballing abilities and performances. That's what I would say.
So there's the last one for Kaiser. Would love to see how Jota would react to the armband. No, mate, the only band I would give him would be a fucking hairband or something. Just leave him be, go and play in the wings, mate, and do your thing. I can't see him being captain material, but listen, you never know. But at this point, no.
Yeah. It'd probably be slightly more effective than Kyogo as captain. Can you imagine Kyogo bellowing out awful?
No. No, Kyogo needs to stop being so fucking nice and going up and patting people's backs when he's decked them, kind of thing, you know. But happy with the choices that we've got. But brilliant.
Well, lads, we've been running for an hour and 10 minutes. Any other comments, any other things that you want to talk about before we kind of wrap it up for this evening? And I don't know, what's your plans for this evening? You having a wee bevy or what?
I'm waiting to go for a shower and have an early night and get ready for my bed for work tomorrow.
Rock and roll.
Well, I'm going to finish off my washings and feed the mains. That's rock and roll and all, mate.
I'm not sure this is great entertainment for the podcast viewers. All right,
we know you want to Chuck.
What are you doing, Gavin? What's your plans?
I think I'm going to have a couple of rums.
The weekend after all.
Aye. Rums. He was on the TV, and I think I definitely missed that 5:30 kickoff. It was at Spurs and Everton. I wonder, somebody let me know what the score is for that, please.
Aye, Spurs are winning.
Aye, so I hope the viewers have got a more exciting weekend ahead than what the Jungle Gyms have got planned, but we'll be back hopefully for a post-match review of the Celtic and Motherwell game. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed it, and if you're still patient enough to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so, and tune in for the next episode. But from myself, Paddy, and McGinty, catchies.
Here,
Motherwell.